Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bay Area Case Studies virtual college fair portion of the evening. We're so excited to have you all here. I do want to take a moment and explain the format of the college fair. So we have 5 wonderful institutions within this session. I know that you have no idea who they are. Don't worry, we'll let you know before we kick things off here. But each will have 6 minutes to present on their institution. And then we will have some general Q&A to wrap things up. However, I would encourage you to send any questions that you have for any of the institutions, or even just general questions. What's student life like? Do you have X athletic program, X major? Whatever that may be, no need to save your questions until the end of our 45-minute session. You can send them at any point through the Q&A down at the bottom of your screen. Your camera and microphone are off, and so know this is going to look and feel a little different than the case study that you're coming from. So the panelists cannot see you, they cannot hear you. The Q&A is your best way to interact with them throughout this session. There are 2 more hours of the college fair after the session wraps up, so feel free to check out that schedule if you haven't already and sign up for some other sessions. And a reminder that the session is being recorded, and so if you need to return to any of this information, you'll be able to check out that recording at strivescan.com/BACS, which is the same exact website where you registered. And so without further ado, I'll go ahead and introduce our institutions in this session. So you'll be hearing from Villanova University, Lewis and Clark College, Worcester Polytechnic Institute, Whittier College, and the College of Worcester. And so with that, we'll go ahead and get things started with Villanova University. And you are on mute, Patrick.
That's usually helpful. Thank you. Thank you, Isabella. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. And I'm happy to kick things off with Villanova University here. So the first thing I talk about with Villanova is just what our campus, with the atmosphere and where we are. So we're a school in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We sit about 12 miles west of downtown Philadelphia. The skyline is something you can see there on the horizon line. With the university, we're about 6,500 students in size. So we feel like we're a medium-sized school. I say for those of you that are in the Bay Area, if you've been on campus at a Santa Clara University or USF, we're about that size and feel, though, of course, a little less urban than USF. With campus, we are pretty residential in that most of our students are living on campus for 3 years, if not 4 years, though not a requirement. And specifically for the first year experience, where my mouse is hovering there, that's our South Campus area. That's where all of our first year students live. So I think it's really cool that you get to have your own micro community there. There's a dining hall, your own green space, yet you remain just a 5-10 minute walk to the rest of campus. And with us being on the East Coast in proximity to Philadelphia, the mass transit is right there, really at your fingertips as a student, as there are 3 different train stops on campus for you to get downtown and to other parts of the city. And while you would be coming a far way, from home, from California to Pennsylvania, know that one thing you don't have to leave behind is Trader Joe's. There's one 3 miles from campus. That's my California fun fact. But with Villanova, we are structured in having 4 different colleges, noted here with our College of Arts and Sciences, Business, Engineering, and Nursing. And as those go alphabetically, so too do they go our size from largest to smallest, with our nursing school being about 100 nursing students each year. In applying to Villanova, you would be applying directly to one of these 4 colleges. And in some cases, you would be applying directly to a specific major. That's the case with an engineering, where you can list your first choice and also your second choice if applicable. Your nursing, again, that's self-explanatory. And then with our science programs, you can apply directly to a department there, or you can apply undeclared. With the academic environment, and us being a medium-sized school, not to give too much away, but a lot of the schools tonight were, I'd say, either small or medium in size. And a great aspect about that is the really intimate learning environment. That relationship between teachers and students is very paramount, and that Villanova being no exception, as our average class size is about 23 students and 100% of the class are taught by professors. To address very briefly our university's history, we are the nation's one and only Catholic and Augustinian institution. The Order of St. Augustine was founded on the concept of learning in community, as that was really radical centuries ago. And so that's clearly a tenet or a value that we seek to uphold and facilitate both inside the classroom and outside the classroom. Part of that happens with the core curriculum, or the classes that all students need to take while on campus to further that critical thinking and outlook for social justice and the common good. Speaking of, kind of the shared identity of our social fabric is definitely around community service, and athletics. Those are two areas that really all students take part in some way, shape, or form during their 4 years. Two main events for us service-wise are a day of service in Metro Philadelphia, as well as hosting the largest student-led Special Olympics event in the world. And then athletically, most of our Division I teams do compete on campus, with kind of a lot of the energy definitely being most apparent around the basketball teams. Then beyond that, a lot of clubs and organizations for students to take part in lends to that rich on-campus atmosphere that, again, a lot of the colleges tonight are definitely share in their own right too. Then when it comes to the deadlines at Villanova, we are a school that utilizes the Common Application exclusively. We were test optional this past year, and we will also be test optional for those of you that are currently juniors in high school. In deciding to apply, there are 4 different pools you can place yourself in, with 2 in November and 2 in January. Beyond that, there are the merit scholarships our office maintains. The criteria can be viewed on our respective website. That's to complement the need aid that's available at Villanova, which the majority of our students receive, and that is made eligible, or one is made eligible by submitting the FAFSA form and the CSS profile. Then going forward, again, we'll have a lot of virtual events this summer and into this next school year. We also plan to offer on-campus visitation, or on-campus tours, excuse me, beginning in June. And yeah, those being on campus. So with that said, of course, you can continue to learn more about us through the different social media platforms, and I will be around to answer any questions you may have. So thank you very much for your time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Patrick, for taking the time to share a little bit more about Villanova University. From here, we'll head on over to Lewis and Clark College.
Great. Wonderful. Well, my name is Holly Elliott. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm happy to be with you all this evening. I am with Lewis and Clark College, located in Portland, Oregon. We are a small private liberal arts college, a private college with a public conscience and global reach. Our student body comprises just under 2,000 undergraduate students. We do have both a law school and a graduate school of education and counseling. Both have campuses across the street from ours, but really we are on our campus dedicated to the undergraduate student experience. Our average class size is 17 students. Your faculty members, all classes rather, are taught by faculty members. No graduate students in classes, teaching classes, or doing research with our faculty members. All of those opportunities go to our undergraduate students. We are on the smaller side of the schools that you'll hear from today. Being a small school doesn't mean that you don't have access to great opportunities. Matter of fact, in some ways it means we rely on you being involved in multiple things. I do tend to find that that's a pretty common consistency among our students, is the desire for a balanced experience, both with academics, co-curricular activities, and various other things. Academically speaking, we offer 29 majors, and actually it's 32 minors now that we've added data science as a new minor. But we definitely have a quintessential kind of liberal arts campus environment where we are going to have small classes with faculty members who choose to teach at Lewis and Clark because they really love the opportunity to take a very active role in the education of their students. It's a place where your classes are much more likely to be discussion-based than lecture-based, where there's amazing opportunities for mentoring relationships with professors who not only want to help our students discover what pathway they're looking to pursue while they're on our campus, but also play a pivotal role in helping them decide what their next steps are, whether that's graduate school or applying to fellowships or looking for career opportunities. Both faculty members and our career center are useful in those. But the mentorship is a piece that I think really comes through in the experience our students have in working with faculty members. We are a liberal arts college at its crux, and it's a very simple explanation, but we're going to have both breadth and depth in your curriculum. You'll have a major you choose, but you're also going to have some general education requirements. And then a third of your curriculum or so is going to be what I think of as undefined. It's elective credits. You choose how you want to use those. That allows you to not know what you want to study when you get here. It's perfectly fine. Take some classes, figure it out. You have till the end of your sophomore year to choose a major. Curiosity is a consistent thread among our students. They like trying new subjects and learning about new things. to give you a sense of who our students are, where they come from. We do have 47 states and over 60 different nationalities represented among our student body. You'll find that there's an interesting array of students from lots of different kinds of spaces, as well as geographical spaces. In any given first year class, anywhere from 28 to 32% of our first year students are going to have identified themselves as a student of color in the application process. And the vast majority of our students are receiving some sort of financial assistance from the institution, 95%. The academic experience is so crucial, but we know a lot of our students are also looking for a peer and social environment that allows them to feel like they have found their people. This picture in particular, taken pre-COVID, is PIO Fair. So this is an annual tradition at the beginning of the school year. All of our student organizations come out and students gather around, and especially new students, but continuing students too, to learn about the various different things that they can get involved in. Again, I think that balanced experience is something that our students are very intent on. Now, our location is really crucial. We are located in Portland, Oregon, 6 miles south of downtown Portland. If I dropped you on campus, you'd have no idea you were in a city. You'd feel like you were in the woods. But in reality, you can hop on a shuttle bus and in 15 or 20 minutes from our campus, be downtown. Our shuttle leaves about every hour from campus, so it's really accessible, easy to get to. Students love that they have both of those things, a city that gives them access to cultural events and internships and community service and weird donut shops, but they also get that quintessential small campus experience with a very kind of close-knit community and in what feels like in the forest. Now, if you want actual forest, they're a 5-minute walk from campus. So it is definitely got an amazing access to outdoors. We have a wonderful program called College Outdoors that gives students the ability to get off campus and participate in an array of different kinds of activities. They offer over 100 different trips a year through College Outdoors. 90% of our students will go on at least one College Outdoors trip while they're at Lewis and Clark. And then thinking even broader in perspective, one of the things that we feel really strongly about is a global perspective to the liberal arts. And we've have felt that way for a long time. We sent our first trip overseas in 1962 and really have some very intentionally created overseas programs where students go overseas with students from Lewis and Clark and with a professor from our campus. They're rich, culturally immersive experiences. Over 60% of our students will participate in one of them. And they definitely are accessible. Your financial aid all goes applied toward it, and they're easy for students to take advantage of. And they have lifelong impacts. We do have this 4-5-6 commitment. You can learn more about that, but essentially we think a bachelor's degree should take 4 years. We'll pay for the 9th semester if you don't complete it in 8 semesters. And then there's great pathway programs to our Graduate School of Education and Counseling and our law school as well. So I'm seeing that Isabella's up there, and so I'm going to stop talking, but I'm going to give you this slide briefly just to say definitely feel free to get in touch with us. We do have a visit program throughout the summer. We're starting it up the last week of May, and so we would love to have you visit at some point. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Holly, for sharing more about Lewis and Clark. And that actually segues really well into my very quick pitch for the Q&A before we pass things off to our next presenter. If you have questions about anything that Holly was sharing as she was wrapping up, or about any of the institutions you're about to hear from, or just about college in general, don't forget that you could ask those questions at any point throughout the session in that Q&A. No need to save them until the end. But now we'll head on over to Worcester Polytechnic Institute.
Thank you, Isabella. All right, everyone, welcome. Good evening. My name is Claudia Aviles. I'm one of the counselors at Worcester Polytechnic Institute, which I will shorten to WPI. Worcester Polytechnic Institute, or WPI, is located about 50 miles west of Boston, and we're about 180 miles north of New York City. So you can see on the map where we're located in Massachusetts. At WPI, we are a STEM-centric institution with a project-based curriculum. We offer a little over 50 different degree programs, the most popular of which is engineering. We have 12 different types of engineering programs for you to try out at WPI. And then we have a very popular computer science program that's currently the second most popular major at the institution. And then we have a subset of our students who major in the science and math field. So majors like biology, chemistry, physics, math, these are options for students as well. Each year, around 20% of our incoming class enroll as undecided. They may feel like they are interested in something STEM related, but don't know exactly what that is yet. That's okay. Know that when you apply to WPI and we make our decision to admit you, we're admitting you based on the belief that you'd be able to find success in any one of our STEM programs. So you apply to WPI, the institution, not a school within the university or a major. And in terms of size of the university, we are about 4,500 undergraduates, and we have 2,000 graduate students, but the focus of the university is at the undergraduate level. And that being said, we do have opportunities for students to meet frequently with faculty. We have a 13-to-1 student to faculty ratio. Students absolutely have the opportunity to complete research if that's something that interests you. At the undergraduate level, there are certainly opportunities. It's as simple as talking to your professor about research that you may be interested in conducting. So that's something that you can do. And then we also have the opportunity for our students to double major, minor, and we also have a dual degree program where students can get graduate with both their bachelor's and master's in 4 or 5 years. It's not for everyone, and it is quite challenging to be able to accomplish, but we do have students who graduate in 4 or 5 years with both those degrees. And we do have a 95% retention rate from a student's first year to their sophomore year, which we're definitely really proud of. In terms of our academic calendar, something I want to share with students is that we operate on a quarter system. So we have 4 terms. Each term is 7 weeks long, and students take 3 classes in each of those 7 weeks. We also have an optional e-term where students can take courses over the summer. We also have a non-punitive grading policy, so students get 1 of 4 grades, an A, B, C, or an NR, which stands for no record. And we also have a flexible curriculum. We don't have any prerequisites for any of our upper level classes. We have something called recommended backgrounds. You have a faculty advisor who will work with you when you select a major, who will make sure that you're taking the necessary courses to fulfill the requirements of your major. So that's something for you to keep in mind. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, we are a school with a project-based curriculum. And so our students have the opportunity to complete projects in one of our global project centers. We currently have a little over 50. Some of them are in the United States and others are international, but students complete 2 projects, one in their junior and then another in their senior year. The junior project is called the IQP, the interactive qualifying project, and students are essentially solving a social-based problem using their STEM skill set. And typically around 90% of our students will do their IQP at an off-campus location. And then for the MQP, students are essentially showcasing what they've learned in their major through a project, and you also have the opportunity to do that off campus. To ensure that all students are able to have this opportunity, we do offer up to $5,000 in a global scholarship. So students have that opportunity to go abroad if that's something they're interested in. And now to kind of switch gears to tell you a little bit about the Career Development Center. We have a little over 400 companies recruit on campus every year. Students are able to do internships and co-ops, starting the first year, after your first year, so sophomore, junior, senior year. And the CDC, the Career Development Center, posts every year something called the First Destinations Outcome Report, where they show information based on different majors for where students are working for after they've graduated from WPI, and also where they maybe are going to graduate school if they decided to do so. So definitely encourage you to take a look at that if you're interested. We are primarily residential campus. First year students are guaranteed housing. And then currently we have about 56% of upperclassmen who do live on campus. We, in terms of extracurriculars, have our NCAA Division III varsity school. We have 10 men's teams, 10 women's teams. If you're not interested in playing a varsity sport, we do have club and intramural sports, and then a little over 250 clubs and student organizations. So hopefully something that you can find that interests you. We are, in terms of when you apply, we are a school that's on Common App, so it makes it easy to apply. One thing that I do want to know is that we did go test blind as of this upcoming school year, 2021-2022. So that's something to keep in mind, that test scores will not be considered a factor when we're reviewing applicants. And then I do encourage you, if you're interested in receiving information or learning more, doing a virtual info session, you can scan that QR code and see more opportunities to learn more about WPI. We will be also open this summer for visits. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Isabella. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you, Claudia, for sharing a little bit more about WPI. Next up, we have Whittier College.
Hey there, folks. I'm gonna let this exposure settle down a little bit on my front camera here. All right, we're looking good. Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing my screen, and I'm glad that you all made the time to join us for yet another Zoom event. What I'm sure you've already gone through many, so thanks for taking the time to do another one, even though Zoom fatigue is very real. My name is Charlie Newman. I'm from Whittier College, which is a fantastic private liberal arts school located in beautiful Southern California. So what that means is we're close to things like Disneyland, the entertainment capital of the world that is Hollywood, amazing opportunities for internships or jobs, whether it be in the entertainment industry, technology with aerospace. We have the Jet Propulsion Lab for NASA right up in Pasadena. We have SpaceX more so in downtown, all the tech hubs that are up in Northern California, which you folks are a lot more familiar with. You don't need me to talk about California. What you need me to talk about is Whittier and a lot of the academic offerings that we have. So here is our cheat sheet for essentially all things you can do at Whittier. But even this is not truly a fully comprehensive list, because there's a few things in here that are sort of hidden that really open up more opportunities than just the single bullet point. So for example, we have the Engineering 3-2 program. We're partnered with USC. So if you're interested in engineering, you would do 3 years of school at Whittier College, then go on to graduate with your degree in engineering at USC, which is a highly accredited school for engineering. We have pre-professional programs, as you can see over here. So things like pre-health, pre-law, we have options for you. And we also have a self-designed major program, which is called the Whittier Scholars Program. And this is actually what I did. I was a Whittier student myself not too long ago. I graduated in 2018. And what this program allows you to do is create your own major. So you take classes that fall underneath all of these departments or categories, but just ones that you kind of mainly want to study in combination with others to create that major. So to give you an example for what I did, I wanted to major in business ethics, which is a very standard degree. But as you can see, business ethics is not on our sort of like prefab list here. So what I did was I took business classes and organizational leadership classes and philosophy classes, and I created the business ethics major. So even though we have all these great traditional programs that you can study, you can do even more through the Whittier Scholars Program. Quick fast facts about the school. We are pretty darn small, so only about 1,700 students. What that means is that we have an average class size of 19 and a student to faculty ratio of 12:1. So you're definitely getting that one-on-one attention. Classes are very discussion based, lots of those roundtable conversations. And really what it also sort of simmers down to is that you are the first in line. You're the first person to have access to any kind of lab equipment, on-campus resources. Your faculty members themselves, you are their number one priority from orientation day through graduation day. Hands-on learning is something that we're really big on too. So whether it be internships, like I was mentioning with our geography, that opens us up to a lot of opportunities, but also our partnerships in the community for even things like service opportunities too. So not just on-campus or off-campus internships, but also working with the community just to help out, just to improve the neighborhood that we get to call home. So doing beach cleanups, going to neighboring schools to talk to them about different academic programs, or even just going to college, talking to middle schoolers, elementary school students, and just letting them know that higher education is a door that's open to them, even if they may not believe so at that moment. Fellowships, we have a really comprehensive fellowship program, which is great for anyone that wants to do research projects and get paid to do that research, and study abroad as well. At Whittier College, we have $2,000 that every student is guaranteed after the completion of their second year that they can put towards any study abroad trip, whether it be for a full year, a semester, 1 month, whatever works for you best. And we have over 80 different study abroad programs to choose from. Look at our student profile. We are an incredibly diverse school, which we're extremely proud of. We are in the top 15% for most diverse liberal arts schools in the nation. I'd like to brag about that. And what that really means is that the students that you see at Whittier College are really reflective of the diversity you see in Southern California. So as a Whittier student, you'll be encountering and interacting with folks from all different ethnicities, socioeconomic backgrounds, gender identities, religions. And by bringing all these different perspectives together in the classroom and just on campus too, really sort of elevates the experience you get. It's definitely not a sheltered campus. You don't feel like you're in a bubble and there's the real world outside of campus. You are going to be having lots of tough conversations with people from different walks of life. So of course, you're going to be learning in the classroom from your amazing rockstar professors. We're also going to be learning a lot outside the classroom, just from your conversations with your peers. And some financial aid information for you all, because it's always nice to get some extra money for school. We have our Merit Scholarship, which is the John Greenleaf Whittier Scholarship. This is our namesake. Need-based aid, which you get through FAFSA. Leadership Scholarship and Talent Scholarship students can apply for. So if you feel like you're a strong leader in your community, we encourage you to apply for the Leadership Scholarship. The Talent Scholarship is for folks that like to do any kind of arts, theater, or music. And then Raise Me is a great little company that works with lots of schools. Whittier is one of them, to award micro scholarships for things like attending a session like this. And then some quick application details for you. We are a school underneath the Common App, which makes it painfully easy to apply to Whittier College. You essentially just add us to your list and you can just click with a single button, apply, and it sends everything that you're sending to all your other schools to us. Test optional, which is great, especially now, but we are going to be test optional for the foreseeable future, not just while the pandemic's going on. And then some average numbers in case you're looking to see where you might fit into our last incoming class. Our average GPA for last year's admits were that middle 3 area. SAT and ACT pretty much right there in the middle. SAT breaks down to about 500 to 600 in each section. And then admission plans, we do early action deadline November 15th, regular decision deadline February 1st. We do not do early decision, so definitely worth keeping in mind as you're looking at other schools that may have that option. And right there is my contact information, but I will also just copy and paste that in the chat so you guys can quickly grab it and we can keep these conversations going. So thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and pass it off now.
Great. Thank you, Charlie, for sharing a little bit more about Whittier. Before we head over to our final institution of the session, I do want to make another quick plug for that Q&A. Thank you to those who've already been sending their questions in. So don't forget about that opportunity. Even if you just have very broad, very general questions, they don't need to be institution specific, but don't be afraid to take advantage of the college representatives that we have here in this session via that Q&A. But without further ado, we'll pass it on over to the College of Worcester.
Thank you, Isabella. So I'm really excited to talk with you about the College of Worcester. We're located in Worcester, Ohio. And my name is Sarah Ozar, and I'm one of the admissions counselors here in the office. And I work with families and students in Northern California. So there's my email address. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out after the session or at any time. So as you go through this college search, we want you to know what we believe makes Worcester different from the other schools that you are researching. And here are 3 takeaways for you after this short presentation. Worcester is America's premier college for mentored undergraduate research, that our entire campus community benefits from a diverse student body, which is one that embraces its differences while supporting one another and celebrating traditions like no other school. And lastly, that we are fortunate to have a larger community in the city of Worcester around us that supports student life, service learning, and career exploration. So first, I want to touch on mentored research and what that means at Worcester. Worcester is a liberal arts and sciences college with just over 2,000 students, and we're very intentional about this. We believe it's an ideal size to provide the type of residential and academic environment that best prepares students for life after graduation. With an average class size of 18 and a small student to faculty ratio, we're committed to providing access to our professors. Their #1 priority at Worcester is offering high-touch mentoring and excellent teaching. Classes will be very interactive and most are discussion-based. And we make sure that every Worcester student, not just those in certain majors or in honors programs, but every student completes at least 1 major research project prior to graduation. And in fact, it's required of all students in their senior year. And we refer to this experience as the Senior Independent Study, or IS for short. But not to worry, our curriculum and experiential learning are built intentionally to provide coursework and opportunities for students to discover and confirm what they are most passionate about. And then during their senior year, a professor within their major serves as an advisor and supports students every step of that process. So here are some examples from last year's senior class of their independent study projects. And what is not on here are our performance-based independent study projects from things like our music or theater majors as well. And what you can see is that at Worcester, research takes many different forms and is available in every academic program. So it can be experimental, creative, analytical, or all three. So some quick notes about our beautiful campus. We are just around 240 acres. We are a completely residential college. Students, a lot of times I also work with families in Florida, and people always ask about the weather. We do have all 4 seasons, and I did get the question I was saying last night that we were predicted to have snow, and our group here of other colleges asked me today if it was true, and we did have snow. So, but it's mainly all melted now. So 17% of our student body is made up of international students and US citizens living abroad, which makes Worcester one of Ohio's most international campuses, and we rank 19th among all private liberal arts colleges in the US. And one thing that I think makes Worcester even more special is that you have students from all over the world who embrace each other's differences, while also having an incredible sense of community and pride that you don't see at most schools of our size. We have a very vibrant student body, and clubs and organizations are academic, athletic, arts and culture based, faith-based, performing arts groups, Greek life, and service and civil engagement as well. Most students at Worcester are involved in a number of activities throughout their time here. We have a marching band complete with a bagpipe and drum corps, an orchestra, 7 a cappella groups, the Worcester Chorus, and multiple ensembles. And while we do have a music major, anyone can participate in these groups. We are an NCAA Division III school and have 23 varsity sports, and we compete in the North Coast Athletic Conference. Students can also participate in numerous intramural and club sports, and the Scott Center, which is our athletic and recreation center, is open to all students throughout the year. And theater performances are also produced throughout the academic year, giving opportunities to students for acting and behind the scenes work. And like music, while we do have a theater and dance major, any student can participate in the productions. So the city of Worcester is located just about an hour south of Cleveland, 40 minutes from Akron, Canton, and about an hour and a half from the state capital of Columbus. And all of these places do have airports as well that our students utilize. Our Worcester students love that they take advantage of the commercial district on the north end of town, but also can enjoy the individually owned coffee shops, the boutique stores, and the restaurants in downtown Worcester, which you see pictured here. So students are out in the local community for many experiential learning opportunities, and pictured here you see one of our health coaches, which is in partnership with the local community hospital, which gives patients increased care while providing valuable hands-on experience for students interested in the medical field. And the Worcester Volunteer Network is one of our biggest student organizations, and here you see students planting trees in a local park. So one quick endorsement that I'd like to share about Worcester. In his new book, The Price You Pay for College, New York Times columnist Ron Lieber praises Worcester for its exceptional combination of quality faculty, affordability, and undergraduate research. Lieber devotes an entire chapter to answering how the College of Worcester puts it all together, highlighting Worcester's upfront attitude in helping prospective students understand the financial package that they will receive and the satisfaction students get from faculty mentorship. And some next steps for you to engage virtually or in person. We're open, campus is open for tours, and we also have a number of virtual offerings as well, and all of those are there on the visit page. And then to find out more about the application, like dates and information about merit and financial aid, it's there with the apply, and then you can ask me any questions via email. I will turn it back over to Isabella.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing a little bit more about the College of Worcester. From here, I will invite all of our college representatives to turn their camera back on, and we'll do a little bit of group Q&A before we wrap up our session. So why don't we, as we wait just another moment for WPI to join, why don't we go ahead and kick things off with everyone's favorite event or tradition held on your campus?
So just to continue with our order for the students, at Villanova, my favorite tradition is our Special Olympics weekend, or what we call Fall Festival. I just feel it's when the university is its best self, and it's just quite an extravaganza, really kind of campus seems a bit unrecognizable, or it's cool, I should say, how it just transforms from the classes ending at 4 p.m. on Friday to then the rest of the weekend, over 1,000 athletes on campus and just the events and games opening ceremonies during that time. So that's my favorite.
Great. I'm going to go a little quirky this time and tell you about a game that happens on campus every Friday night. I don't know that they're doing it right now during COVID, but apparently for over like 10 or 15 years, there's a tradition of a game called Ninja on our campus where every Friday night, the students get together and dress in black, and they basically play a big, huge game of capture the flag on campus. I have not had the privilege of getting to actually be involved or see it happen, but I hear rumblings about it from students. And so I think that's one of the maybe lesser talked about traditions on campus.
I would have to say one of my favorites is the International Food Festival. This happens every year. Students, the International Student Council put out a call to the campus community, and students, staff, faculty will make different cultural dishes. And it's just a nice opportunity to get together with students in the campus center and eat some delicious food and just gather together in community over that. And even during COVID this past year, the students and the International House were able to organize that and have the community was able to kind of set up times to pick up food, social distancing and whatnot. But I thought that was just a really nice gesture and a way to bring us all together.
I would say my favorite for Whittier, my favorite tradition is that during the school year, Monday through Friday, we do this thing which we call, we paint the rock. So what the rock is sort of our unofficial mascot on campus. At Whittier, our actual mascot isn't all that much more dignified. It's the poets, which isn't very intimidating, but it's a funny story with the rock where we had these 3 seniors from way back in the early 1900s, and they brought this big old boulder into the middle of campus as a senior prank from the neighboring mountains. And they sort of just told the school, what are you going to do about it? It's a giant rock, good luck moving it. And the school decided to counter prank those students, and they embraced it. And every day, Monday through Friday, students or a different club or organization will take spray paint and paint the entire rock to sort of like be a billboard for campus, whether it's for an on-campus event or to show solidarity over any kind of current events. It's always cool to walk by the rock and see what people are thinking about, talking about, just by looking at that painted boulder.
So one of my favorite traditions is we have a big building in the middle of campus called Calc, and there's a big arch through the middle of it, and like kind of big enough to drive a car through kind of thing. And if we get enough snow, then the students work together and fill the arch completely to the top with snow. And it's a very impressive feat. It takes a long time. And legend has it that classes will be canceled the next day if the students can fill the arch to the top, which hasn't necessarily happened recently, but they still try pretty much every year when we have enough snow.
Wonderful, awesome. Thanks everyone for sharing a fun tradition or event. Next, why don't we have everyone share what advice you would give a student currently going through their college search process?
So my advice goes back a little bit to the poll that some of you completed at the beginning of the case study session. And that is, occasionally I'll get asked about, what do I need to have my application stand out, or what needs to be in my essay? And I really just try to counteract that philosophy that don't think you have to stand out in the application process. At Villanova, we're fortunate to admit thousands of students. And, as you can likely guess, a lot of those students share characteristics or share different values. And so don't think that you have to be the one applicant that I remember out of the 1,000 that I read. That's not, again, how you should try to, that's not the perspective you need to adopt for the admission process.
I like to always push back a little bit on the idea of there being the one. And the process here is not about picking the perfect school for you. The reality is that there are probably 400 schools in this country, if not 4,000 schools in this country, where you can actually get a great education. I think narrowing down to what is most important in what you're looking for in your experience, that's where you start. But also just recognize that even when it comes down to making that final decision, most of the time it's not going to be an easy process, because you can get a great education at a lot of different places. So trying to get out of that idea that you have to narrow down to this very particular set that are all going to lead you to one answer. The sooner you can get rid of that idea, the more you'll get to really appreciate and be excited by this process. This is an exciting time. It should not be stressful.
I would echo what both Patrick and Holly have shared already, but I would also add for students to also vary like sources of information that you're getting to. So I know that you may meet often with the admissions office, but also make sure that you reach out to faculty members, students also make sure that you reach out to students. So I remember when I was going through my process, I always thought, oh my gosh, like professors are so busy, like they don't have the time to talk to me. And they actually really do. They want to hear your questions. And so know that, you know, you can send an email to a department, you can send an email to a student, you can always ask an admissions officer to connect you to someone. So know that you have every right to information. And so I encourage you and empower you to you know, reach out to different departments and different sources of information on campus for you to learn and get different perspectives about the school during your college search.
I'm going to cheat a little bit, but it's not about the college search process. It's about when you first start college, and it's to not be afraid to change your major. You are not locked into it. You do not have to commit to it just out of stubbornness or out of maybe guilt. College is about exploring, about finding new things that you're interested in. That can be academics too. Don't feel as if you're trapped. Have fun with it. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to go and try something you haven't tried before. So have fun. Like we've all been saying, take the pressure off yourself. Enjoy, explore.
And I totally agree with what everybody said, and I think it's all great advice. So I'm going to take what may sound like a little bit of a lighthearted approach, but it's very genuine. Go ahead and proofread your application. Be sure that if you're mentioning a college in your application, that you're mentioning the school that you're applying to. And just double check it one last time before you hit submit.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you all for sharing a little tidbit of advice. I appreciate, Charlie, that you went the route of starting college. I think that's a nice change in pace. I know it can be hard perhaps right now with where you're at in your college search to really envision yourself at a school on a campus in the future, but you know, we all know that you'll get there. So it's a nice reminder of that. So I appreciate it. But with that, I think that wraps up this session. That is the time that we have with our institutions here today. So a big thank you to each of them for sharing little tidbits of advice, but also sharing more about their institutions as well. But also a huge thank you to you. We know that you had no idea who you were going to hear from in this session. So thank you for sticking it out. Hopefully you learned more about some institutions. Perhaps your interest has been piqued. So thank you for joining us. Note that there is a very quick 4-question survey that will appear as soon as this session wraps up. If you don't mind taking the extra moment to fill that out, it's very helpful for us to get feedback as we continue to plan events such as these moving forward. A reminder that there's 2 more hours of the college fair after this session concludes, so feel free to check out those sessions and sign up for more if you haven't already. And that all of this information was recorded, so if you need to return to any of it, it will be available online tomorrow at strivescan.com/BACS, stands for Bay Area Case Studies. So thank you once again to our college representatives. A big thank you once again to all of you, and I hope that everyone has a great remainder of their evening.